CBS News political director and Face the Nation moderator John Dickerson is here with us. John, good morning.
Good morning, Norah.
The president reportedly held this news conference over the objection of his top advisors. What did he hope to accomplish?
Well, I think he was grabbing the wheel. You know, he wants to be back in control. There was the fun of the campaign feel and all that. It reminded me, LBJ used to take reporters in his convertible driving across the LBJ ranch, and he'd go 70 miles an hour, and he was in control, and there were lots of hairpin turns, and that's what it felt like.
But did he look like he was in control?
To the people who love him, he looked absolutely like he was in control, tweaking the noses of the press in there, a man in command of all the things his administration had done, a long list of things he had achieved. Absolutely. But the difference is this is not a campaign anymore. Mentioning Hillary Clinton so many times, he's not running against her anymore. Campaigns are about a binary choice, me or her. But governing is about building consensus, getting an argument across, being directed and focused. And this was not a directed and focused moment. And this is what scares Republicans on the Hill.
John, he described it like a fine-tuned machine. I'm wondering, does he have a different definition of that most people don't know about? And what good came out of the news conference that you could see?
Well, it's not a fine-tuned machine. Obviously, his executive order on immigration has been held up by the court. He's lost his national security advisor for lying to the public, which was an extraordinary thing. In all of the descriptions we've gotten about the Flynn matter, no one says, you know, the reason he was fired because in this White House, we never lie to the public. Right. That's what you would expect. Never that line came across in all 77 minutes yesterday.
But he also said, John, he said he fired him because of what he said to Mike Pence. But the president had the same information he could have told Mike Pence.
Well, absolutely. And again, this is what happened is the national security advisor was not truthful about conversations with the Russians. And it was a muddle also about the president when the president said, well, I would have wanted him to have those conversations. I was not clear that he really meant I would want him to have those conversations about the sanctions. And that was more fuzzy after the press conference.
Let's try in this short time to break down what this means for the safety and security of the American people and the legislative agenda for the Republican Party.
Well, the safety and security, he doesn't have a national security advisor. And the one he had coming in, he didn't get him. He doesn't have a person to advise him on national security. That's what matters.
I find it stunning that a vice admiral, Harward, who spent 40 years, a former Navy SEAL, spent 40 years answering the call of his commander-in-chief. Essentially was publicly floated as a choice and then publicly said no. It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And it's also extraordinary that when the next thing hits, as it may very well be hitting at this moment, the president doesn't have somebody he can turn to for that kind of advice.
The president, John, said he's going to go after low-life leakers. How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think that's a public relations move. He wants to basically categorize anything that's unfavorable to him as a leak that's a threat to national security. The way it'll play out is the investigative committees on the Hill will have to go after it, and then he could task the Justice Department to go after it. The problem is when you push in one place on leaks, you sometimes get them on the other. The leaks are the result of the people inside the bureaucracy fearful about what's happening.
And curious to hear what Republicans are saying today, too.
Well, they want those leaks to go away. The Republicans don't like the leaks either. So that's somewhere where
about President Trump's news conference yesterday. That's what I mean. I'm very curious to see what they're
Well, they don't like chaos, and they're nervous.
President Obama was one of the toughest in punishing leaks, not only among reporters, but those in the intelligence community.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, always good to see you. Thank you for being here. Sunday on Face the Nation, John, we'll talk with House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, plus former acting CIA Director Michael Morell and Tom Donilon, a former national security advisor for President Obama.